Alright, we've got a big show today. We're talking all about Anthem and BioWare and what's going on there. Talking about the statement that Casey Hudson has published on the BioWare blog all about Anthem. But before we get into that, we need to roll the intro. So I've got a little cheat sheet here. I do have my iPad with the full blog post here. So we're going to break this down kind of line by line, paragraph by paragraph. I'm going to give you my thoughts, full out, what I think about this. So he starts out, "Hey everyone, 1 year ago today we were preparing to launch Anthem, a game that represented a big leap into new territory for us as a studio." That is very true. BioWare is not a company that really focuses around shooting or looter shooters or these first-person shooting online games as a service type deals, even though the shooting in Mass Effect was pretty good. Mass Effect 1 was not good. Andromeda had pretty good gun mechanics. They were all very generic guns. There was nothing all too specific about them. There was nothing really special, nothing that really stood out in my mind other than, hey, look, I've got a shotgun. Hey, look, I've got shotgun number 2 that does 10% more damage. Oh, hey, look, shotgun 3 does 20% more damage than shotgun 1. Woo. Where this is kind of out of their realm. This is not what they're good at. This is something that, say, Gearbox or Bungie is better at. Look at the variety of guns in Destiny, and especially the 1 billion guns. They have guns with legs when it comes to Borderlands 3. It's a gimmick. It's fun. All those combinations are insane because you can just roll the dice and get anything. But at the same time, there are different guns. You have the options. You have the choices of getting all of these different guns. And when it came to Anthem, yeah, you had your standard SMG, assault rifle, shotgun, all those guns or very similar guns to that, but there was nothing special about it. Just wanting to wrap this up, BioWare was really out of their element when it came to coming up with a looter shooter. Let's continue with this interesting post. "It was an exhilarating and terrifying experience to go out into the world with something new and different, and we are grateful to all the players who have come along with us on the journey." Yeah, new, yeah. Exciting, probably not in the ways that they were expecting. Same with the whole exhilarating, and I'm sure it was absolutely terrifying because they're trying to make a game that they don't know how to make, and they didn't acquire any new talent to help really with that process. Not to mention that there was the studio meddling where they put out that trailer and then they were stuck. They were stuck with what that was. They were stuck with this Iron Man-ish game. No matter what they did, it had to be what that trailer was showing. "It has been a thrill for us to see the creativity of our players in designing customized javelins and watching them master Anthem's flying and fighting gameplay." I will say that the flying mechanics were actually pretty good. They're pretty solid. However, you just drop out of the sky every 10 to 15 seconds, depending on what your cooldown timer is. It's really annoying. I think they could have done a better job with that, but so far with this line, no major complaints yet. I'm so proud of the work the team has put into this game, and at the same time, there's so much more that we, and you, would have wanted from it. That is probably the biggest understatement of the year, especially the last half of that run-on sentence. The first half, that he's proud of his team, yeah, I'm sure the team really did a good job. Like, they did the best with what they had. However, they didn't have a lot of time to work on or iterate on any of the other games. Like, they couldn't take one idea, flesh it out, get it going, play test it, have it going, and say, you know what, that's not quite working. I like where it's at-ish, but this needs a lot of tweaking. Version 2.0 of the flying mechanics would be even better. Or version 2.0 of the gunplay. Or whatever other mechanic that they just didn't have a chance to iterate on. There was no story. There was nothing to do. It was the beta for $60, which gets to the larger point of that was the theme of this generation. Whether you want to admit it or not, a lot of times companies just threw out crap and saw, hey, you know what? Maybe we can make a game. Maybe we can throw it out there, call it early access, get all of our money, and maybe we'll do something with it. Yeah, not really a good look. And that's why I think across the board, pre-orders are not doing as well as they probably should be. A lot of us gamers are now leery of any pre-orders, especially from what all of the companies are doing. This isn't just BioWare. This is a whole bunch of different companies doing the same kind of crap. Getting into the first paragraph of some actual substance rather than just kind of thanking everyone for buying their crap game. Over the last year, the team has worked hard to improve stability, performance, and general quality of life while delivering 3 seasons of new content and features. Yeah, they did that. It was a lot of hard work. I'm glad that they've kind of stuck to this. They've kind of stuck to their roadmap, but it felt like a lot of those things should have been there in the first place rather than doling it out as seasonal content. It should have been primary content. Look at what, say, Fortnite does with their seasons. Say what you will about Fortnite, but they have the season formula locked down pretty well. They had a solid base game, a solid shooter to begin with, and then since then they've just added bits and bobs here and there, done special crossover events. They had Thanos, now they've got Harley Quinn. They've got all those different things. Anthem, it's their seasonal stuff is just stuff that should have been there in the first place. We also have heard your feedback that Anthem needs a more satisfying loot experience, better long-term progression, and a more fulfilling endgame. Basically, as gamers, we want a game. If you're making a looter shooter, the loot better be worth it. Borderlands figured that out. They're a looter shooter. Destiny is a looter shooter. They figured that out. Say what you will about those two franchises, but the loot is worth the grind if that's the thing you're into. I'm not too much about the looter shooters. I like Borderlands, but I think it's the writing that's hilarious, and I really haven't gone back to it much since I beat the game, though there are some pretty good reasons to go back with a lot of the expansions. A fulfilling end game, yeah, that just sounds like you should have a game, period. So we recognize that there's still more fundamental work to be done to bring out the full potential of the experience, and it will require a more substantial reinvention than an update or expansion. Basically, they're prepping you to say, hey, we're going to make Anthem 2.0. Whether that comes as a major content update, essentially just giving you Anthem for free for anyone who bought it, or they could do the sleazy, skeezy, nasty, dirty, rotten trick of making you buy Anthem 2. People right now are not thrilled about Anthem. Not at all. I forgot the game was even around. I remember it being gorgeous and excited when it first came out, and then after like 3 days I heard, hey, there's nothing to do, so I didn't end up buying that game. I think that they really need to come up with some kind of better game. They need to reinvent this. Yes, they were under a massive time crunch because of interference and meddling, and they just didn't have what they needed time-wise to be able to give you the game that they wanted, but I'm frustrated because I really feel bad for these developers because they didn't have the time to be able to make the game that they wanted to make. And now you've got Casey Hudson saying, hey, you should trust us again when, yeah, we've pretty much burned the bridge. We're not in a good spot here. You trusted us and we let you down, and now we're asking you to trust us again. We're asking for that No Man's Sky moment. But you know what No Man's Sky did versus what Anthem has done? No Man's Sky went radio silent for about a year and overhauled the game, added in a lot of the things that were promised, and gave it out. Anyone who already had No Man's Sky got all that stuff for free. They were able to get it. It was great. It was fantastic. That was a great move by No Man's Sky's development team. Now, Anthem really needs to do that again. I need less talk and more action. Actions speak louder than words. So I need you to actually go out there and do something. Over the coming months, we will be focusing on a longer-term redesign of the experience, specifically working to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progressions with meaningful rewards, while preserving the fun of flying and fighting in the vast science fantasy setting. Yeah, I think that's absolutely great. But why weren't you working on this more so over the last year? We should be sitting here going, hey, there's a major content update or Anthem 2.0, and anybody who had Anthem 1 now gets Anthem 2 for free, and everybody else, you can try it out. You can wait, see what they say, see what the reviews say about this new game. However, that doesn't sound like what they're doing. Clearly, they did add a lot with their season stuff, but they shouldn't have done that. I think they should have just gone into hiding essentially and just cranked out a game, put that year's worth of experience to work, go into it and go, hey, you know what? We messed up, but here's Anthem 2.0. And to do that properly, we'll be doing something we'd like to have done more the first time around, giving a focused team the time to test and iterate, focusing on gameplay first. Yeah, well, gameplay I don't think was exactly the worst part of that. It was the lack of story and lack of loot, but I guess if you want to just say the umbrella of gameplay, all right, I'll give you that one. It sounds like he's trying to prep us to say, hey, go out and buy Anthem 1 and you'll be able to get all this sweet new content. What I'm afraid is going to happen is BioWare and EA, whoever, is going to make the decision that, no, we've spent way too much money on that. It's going to be an expansion pass and it's going to cost at least $30. Or it's a brand new game and maybe it's not full price, but it's going to be $45. That I could even see them doing it as a full price $60 game. I'm really scared of what's going to come out of this. In the meantime, we will continue to run the current version of Anthem, but move away from the full seasons as the team works towards a future Anthem. We'll keep the game going with events, story refreshes, and revisiting past seasonal and Cataclysm content, starting with our anniversary towards the end of the month. I think this is just a cop-out. I think he's just trying to buy time, trying to build up some hype or momentum for a game that is dead. I think that the player base is pretty low. I know consumer confidence in this is really low. The people are still playing. I'm sure they're having a great time. And if you love Anthem and you're watching this, I'm sorry. I think there's still so much that was left on the table that they just could have put in there. Rather than selling me a promise of a better game, show me a better game. I know there's been a lot of talk of gamer entitlement, but I think if I pay $60 for a game, I'm entitled to a full game with a satisfying ending. Whether or not I like that ending, that's a different story. But if I'm buying a game, I want to buy a complete game. Buying even Destiny 1, that was fun. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait, I spent $60 for what? Now I got to buy a season pass or buy the expansions to get the full game. This is no. You're taking like the worst parts of Destiny and trying to make it Anthem. I think what you need to do is just take a breath, step back, and just fulfill the promises that you originally made. Going into this last paragraph here, we're just going to read the whole thing. Creating new worlds is central to our studio's mission, but it's not easy. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we miss. What keeps us going is the support from players like you. Your feedback gives us guidance on how we can improve, and your passion inspires us with the courage to create. I'm going to interject there. I don't think it's the courage. I think it's the fear of the mob. I look forward to working together with your involvement and feedback towards the best possible future for Anthem. Casey. A lot to unpack there. Yes, they do a great job of world building. Look at what they did with Knights of the Old Republic back in the day. Yes, that was Star Wars, and it was set in the Star Wars universe, but they set it 4,000 years before any of the events of the current Star Wars series. So, yeah, they essentially made a new world, and it was great. It was fantastic. Dragon Age, new world. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. Mass Effect, it felt lived in. It felt alive. It was great. They had a fantastic story with that. The list goes on, and then you get to Anthem, and it's like, you missed the mark here. I know not everything is a home run, but it wasn't necessarily the world building that was the problem. It was, again, your primary gameplay loop lacking the loop. Yes, you grinded and you got new gear, but the gear was uninspired. It was not exciting. You need to just kind of go back and just retool it, redo the game completely from the ground up. Maybe reuse the assets because the javelins look cool. All of those mechanics, the flight mechanics look fantastic. I think there is a solid game there. I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to be hopeful. I want this game to succeed. I don't want to see games fail. Games failing is just not something that's appreciated here by the consumer or the developer. As we've mentioned in a previous video, game development takes years and years and years. And how would you like to spend 5 years of your life working on a project that fails, that completely sputters out and fails? And then you get publicly ridiculed. Maybe not you by name, but the game that you worked on, that you've poured your heart and soul into, is now the laughing stock. It is a crap game. Now, I think Anthem does have that potential. I think they can pull this out. I think they can have their No Man's Sky moment, but I don't think it's going to come soon enough. I think by the time this actually gets fixed, I think it's going to be way too late. I think this ship is going to sail. What they really should do is just retool it, maybe change the javelins, make it maybe a superhero high fantasy type deal, and call it something different. And I think you could, I think if you called it something different, you could really build that hype and get everyone excited again. Because there is, like I said, a great potential for this game. There's a lot of good parts in this. It just didn't work out. If you really like this video, give us a thumbs up. It really helps out the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. Always remember that a little bit of self-care goes a long way. So take care of yourselves both mentally and physically. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.